Hey everyone, it's Neflarian, and today I'm going to be looking at some more tips for new players. Specifically, what is a world boss and what is invasion? What rewards do they offer? Is one better to farm than the other? What's good etiquette for them? And how can you take advantage of NPCs? Thank you Congregate for sponsoring this video, because if you're a new player, this is information you cannot afford to miss and it'll make your grinding so much easier. So let's get right in and get started on the Bitverse Academy. World Boss is a multiplayer mode where, unlike raids and dungeons, all players have to be present and online. There are lobbies that you can start or join that are either public for anyone on your server to join or invite only. Did you know that there are multiple servers? If you're coordinating a lobby in public chats, you might need to switch servers. To do so, just send that player a duel request and you will reconnect to their lobby. You unlock new world bosses as you progress through the game, starting in Tier 3. Within World Boss, you're going to find new gear and the materials to fuse some of the most powerful familiars in the game. What gear depends on the boss you choose, the tier, and the difficulty, while the materials for fusions only depend on the boss that you choose. New players typically won't grind World Boss for gear. What you're focusing on is materials, both the gear-based materials and fusion materials. What I would recommend is run whatever the highest difficulty, like hard or heroic, you can, while keeping a 100% win rate. Early game, you'll likely have to play solo, so keep that in mind. Once you get to tiers like 7 or 8, you're going to start finding more open lobbies, and at tier 10 you're going to find a lot more as you start grinding for very specific familiars. For those early ones though, grind Orlag to get Velk materials, that's all you really need. The materials you get aren't affected by item find, so win rate is all that matters. Run normal if you have to, just don't let your zeals go to waste. I've touched on it briefly so far, but why should you farm World Boss? That's easy! The best familiars are typically found in World Boss, and you get materials and even some really good gear as well. Once you get enough resources for a big push, it's also the fastest game mode, so you get more use out of your boosts. You can win a World Boss in under 5 seconds fairly easily, as opposed to a 3-minute raid, and that adds up very quickly. I mentioned that players are playing synchronously, and you can definitely get carried by strong players that will decimate the World Boss with ease while you swim in the loot. There are some etiquette rules to follow though, so listen up. When you get carried, know that your carry is going to go fast. They are unlikely to get any benefit other than experience from here, so don't slow down and let them get through the zeals that they're using. You should always let them know exactly how many zeals you're using so they don't end up popping more resources than they need and things can move smoother. In the same vein as speed, make sure to keep your auto turned on. If you die, you're likely going to need to turn it back on depending on your settings. 10 seconds is how long the game will take before it forces you to make an action. And when a world boss doesn't usually even last 10 seconds, that's like sitting in molasses. Finally, the community wants you to succeed. So if you get a set or mythic to drop, let your carry know so they can give you the congratulations that you deserve. Invasion is a weekly event that uses badges, just like GVG and Expedition. In Invasion though, you're going to fight endless waves until you die. What enemies you face are going to depend on which invasion is actually being run. Like Expedition, you're going to get gear drops from this mode, and just like Expedition, they are effectively just materials since the sets and mythics aren't that good. The legendaries are fine though, since all they really are stat sticks, but avoid the sets and mythics. Unlike Expedition though, Invasion is not centered on guilds. You do not need a guild to participate, and everything about Invasion is centered on the community as a whole. The community works together to get community points which give buffs, and you can even use NPCs from town in your team, though you can't use friends or guild members. In order to get maximum loot and experience, you have to kill 21 enemies. That means after completing 7 waves, you're going to have maximum drops, but I typically run 10 waves just to stay safe. If you're speedrunning, you can run waves 1 through 10 and be fine, but you're not going to get many community points at all. Invasion has a community point system. You get points for every run, and you calculate them by taking the last wave that you completed and multiplying by the number of badges that you used. So while running 1 through 10 is nice, you aren't really helping the community. The difference between finishing wave 10 and finishing wave 100 is 450 points. Keep in mind that you don't get extra points for the number of waves that you ran, only what the top wave was. and as the community hits milestones, it's shown by that bar that fills up on the invasion screen. Invasions just get better. At level 1, there's a 5% boost to item find, gold find, and experience. Level 2 is 10%, level 3 is 20%, level 4 is 30%, level 5 is a flat 50% boost. That definitely helps on those long pushes towards the end of the week. The whole community shares community points, so know that you aren't the only one working towards it. So that begs the question, how do you even run higher waves? In the end game, you can use familiars and set up regular old teams and get over 200 easily, with certain builds even over 1,000, but early game, that's a struggle. Instead of using familiars, why not use the in-town NPCs? They're stronger than you early on, and I would even recommend having a team full of them, just leaving yourself in the far back in your last team until you get better gear. Start with Agnar in the very front. He is a giga meat shield tank with 70% of his stats in health and a 50% block chance. He's just gonna meat shield for you and occasionally hit someone. His only goal though is to take hits and not die. After Agnar, put Professor Hale. He has a DPS stat spread and 50% crit chance. He's gonna do the most damage. None of the NPCs have brain augments or pets, so don't worry too much on multi-hits. In the backline, put Quinn. Quinn is a healer with a really high speed, and their entire job is to keep Agnar alive. You are likely going to be able to auto past wave 10 with this, even at tier 3 when you unlock Invasion. Your second team should mirror the first one, but with just different NPCs. Put Bren, Nixon, and then Derwin. They serve the exact same functions as the previous team, they're just slightly less optimal. Nixon is really fun though because he does have some really nice nuke skills and he seems overpowered, he's just slow. In the third team, you're left with just yourself and familiars. So in that third team, set it up like you would be going into a flag, and make sure to have a tank, DPS, and support. With that team, you're going to be as unstoppable as possible. World Boss and Invasion are the two fastest game modes for drops. World Boss goes super fast, and Invasion can go fast if you just run 10 waves. You're going to get a ton of materials from either of them in a very short amount of time if you're on a boost. World Boss has gear that you want to target, and Invasion has gear that you want to melt, but both are useful in their journey. Both also have really good familiars if you're willing to put in the grind. Remember that both of these modes are centered around the community and community building though, so hop into World Chat and start making friends. If you like this video and want more, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. If you dislike it, hit dislike, but tell me why. You can also join my Discord, linked on my profile, and get up-to-date news and information on my videos, streams, and various other games. And until next time, good luck on your grind, and I'll see you in the next video in the Bitverse Academy.